What's up, guys? The latest news on your $2,000 fourth stimulus check update and recurring stimulus check update. Major news: House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has apparently told House Democrats to prepare for adjustments on the $3.5 trillion stimulus bill. Could there possibly be an incoming major setback? Now, according to a recent report, Senator Elizabeth Warren and Representative Cori Bush are fighting an extremist Supreme Court on the eviction ban by introducing a bill to keep renters in their homes. A new eviction moratorium could be on the way. You'll need to hear about this one, guys. Lastly, the House has finally passed a bill that will suspend the debt limit and prevent a government shutdown. We'll also dive into what this means for the US moving forward. We'll discuss all of these and more in today's video, so definitely stick around to the end. All right, so first up, here's your daily update on the reconciliation bill, aka the stimulus bill that Congress is currently working on. The time to vote on this is coming very, very soon, and that's why we're getting many updates here as the Democrats, they try to get as many programs included in as possible. Now, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has apparently told House Democrats to prepare for adjustments to the $3.5 trillion stimulus bill. What could these adjustments mean, though? Could the $3.5 trillion price tag be lower now? Let's find out right here. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi told Democratic colleagues on Monday that they should brace for adjustments to the $3.5 trillion social spending package to fit the Senate's constraints for the budget process lawmakers are using to fast-track legislation through Congress. Democratic-led House committees completed work last week on their respective portions of the sweeping $3.5 trillion plan, which is a cornerstone of President Biden's economic agenda. But Pelosi warned her fellow Democrats that the package could be trimmed to ensure it clears both the House and the Senate. Now, with the date for voting on this coming soon, Democrats are busy finalizing many details of this bill. Nancy Pelosi's message to her Democrats could also be considered as a warning telling them to be prepared. Congress can be unpredictable at times, as we've seen in all the other bills that they've passed throughout history. This is likely Nancy Pelosi's way of leading the House Democrats. The House committees did meet their goal of completing the portions of the bill on September 15th, which was last week, and this is a great sign that the progress of the bill is still on track. Nancy Pelosi was even saying that as much as possible, they want to get the bill done at $3.5 trillion. But now, things are not looking so good. Let's see what she said recently about this one. The President and Senate Democrats sent us a budget resolution with a cap of $3.5 trillion. I have promised that we would not have House members vote for a bill with a higher top line. Hopefully, that will be at the $3.5 trillion number. We must be prepared for adjustments according to the Byrd Rule and an agreed to number. Lawmakers are using a tool called budget reconciliation to pass the $3.5 trillion package, which includes Democrats' plans for universal pre-K, expanding Medicare, child care, elder care, and addressing climate change. The process allows the legislation to pass the Senate with a simple majority, but language has to comply with certain parameters in order to be included in the reconciliation bill. As we all know, the $3.5 trillion tag is what the progressives have been pushing for. They have made their stand that they're not willing to compromise and go lower. In fact, Senator Bernie Sanders has even said that this current price tag is already his compromise. He was initially calling for a $6 trillion stimulus, if you guys didn't know. So going off from Nancy Pelosi's statement, the price tag that the House will be voting on will entirely depend on what the Senate passes. Now, here's the tricky part, though. At $3.5 trillion, this stimulus bill is set to be one of the most extensive packages in U.S. history. However, there is a big problem here. Senators Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema have stated that they're not willing to support a $3.5 trillion stimulus bill. Instead, they want to see the bill around $1 trillion, maybe $1.5 trillion at the max. Now, remember, the reconciliation process that the Democrats are using to be able to pass this bill will not allow any votes to be lost in the Senate. So you've got Senate Democrats, they cannot afford to lose even a single vote to get this bill forward. Quite the dilemma, right? Now, President Biden has tried to persuade Joe Manchin, but it was to no avail. Hopefully things change soon. I think what these centrists are failing to understand is that the stimulus bill is a package that aims to change several things in our country. There's a reason why progressives want to get this done at $3.5 trillion. Now, aside from what the article mentioned, the stimulus bill, it aims to include free community college, an extension of child tax credits, lower drug prices, Social Security raises, unemployment, and so much more. So it's really a big package. The case for the fourth stimulus check as well as monthly recurring stimulus check payments remains to be discussed, though. And I know that's what everyone in our community is looking forward to. And so I'm going to keep you guys posted on that. Now, Democrats are showing that they're willing to extend child tax credits, which are like stimulus checks already. So the chances of the fourth stimulus check are still on the table. I'll be sure to update you guys once the news comes out on a fourth stimulus check. Now, lastly, another big issue here that's troubling Nancy Pelosi and the others is the Byrd Rule. Now, let's continue to find out what this is all about. Called the Byrd Rule for the late Democratic Senator Robert Byrd of West Virginia, provisions that are considered extraneous must be stricken from a reconciliation bill. An item is considered extraneous if it meets at least one of 6 definitions, such as if it fails to directly impact the federal budget. Already, the Senate's rules regarding the reconciliation process have doomed one proposed provision on the $3.5 trillion package. Democrats' plans to put an estimated 8 million undocumented immigrants on a path to citizenship. So this is what they're actually preparing for at this moment. The bird rule is affecting the immigrant citizenship proposal of the Democrats, and it has ultimately destroyed its chances to be included in the bill. The Senate parliamentarian, the group responsible for the rules, they have said that the policy changes for this proposal far outweigh the budgetary impact scored to it, and it's not appropriate for inclusion in the reconciliation. And so this puts Democrats back in square one. And as Nancy Pelosi said, there could be coming adjustments that will change this bill. If they really want to include the proposal including citizenship, they will have to work hard to find a way. With the time running out as every day passes, I'm not sure that the Democrats can really include everything in their agenda. Nonetheless, Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats are prepared for anything, and we'll have to just see if they pull through. Remember, a lot is at stake here, including the chances of seeing a fourth stimulus check, guys. Now, what do you guys think about this? Congress has been really busy lately, and we'll be seeing the final decision very soon. Let me know your thoughts on this one in the comments below. Up next, here's some great news for all you renters out there. Now, according to a recent report, Senator Elizabeth Warren, as well as Representative Cori Bush, are fighting an extremist Supreme Court on the eviction ban by including a bill to keep renters in their homes as over. Basically, this new bill is pushing for a new eviction moratorium. This really doesn't sound like very good news for landlords. Now, this is definitely great news if you're a renter and you're facing hard times. But let's see here.
Progressives tonight in Washington, St. Louis Congresswoman Cori Bush joined at the Capitol by others to introduce a nationwide eviction moratorium. The one America had expired last month, but this group of lawmakers is asking to bring it back for the duration plus another 60 days.
It is imperative that legislators we provide protection now, because we're being evicted. People are being evicted as we speak, as we stand here. People were evicted yesterday, weeks ago. People are having their wages garnished as a result of
that bill faces an uphill battle to advance through Congress. About 10.7 million renters are behind on their payments. That's according to the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities.
After the Supreme Court struck down President Joe Biden's ban on evictions, progressive lawmakers said that they would not give up on protecting renters. On Tuesday, they followed through on that promise. Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren and Missouri Representative Cori Bush unveiled the Keeping Renters Safe Act of 2021 to enact an urgently needed nationwide eviction moratorium, according to a press release. The bill, supported by New York Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Massachusetts Representative Ayanna Pressley, would allow the Department of Health and Human Services to automatically implement a national residential eviction moratorium in the interest of public health, which Bush called during a press conference life-saving legislation. The Supreme Court's action of striking down President Biden's eviction moratorium clearly wasn't forgotten by the Democrats. They made a promise to come back and actually help the people, and it looks like they're delivering on that. Democrats did not give up, and we can really see what their main priorities are. Now, I'm not Democrat, I'm not Republican, but at first glance, you can see that these programs that the Democrats are making are for the people, which is in line with their $3.5 trillion stimulus bill that they have dubbed as the Human Infrastructure Bill. It's still going strong, and it continues to affect the lives of millions of people across the country. A new eviction moratorium would definitely help the people out, but what exactly is this bill proposing? Let's look at the summarized explanation here. It says here that the Supreme Court ruled in August that HHS does not have the authority to mandate an eviction moratorium, and according to the bill text, the Democrats' legislation would amend Section 361 of the Public Health Service Act to grant HHS the permanent authority to institute an eviction ban. As the bill lays out, the HHS would implement an eviction that would be automatic, meaning no individuals would have to apply to all residential eviction filings and judgments, allow the HH Secretary to establish moratorium exemptions necessary to protect the health and safety of others, and remain in. So the main points listed here will undoubtedly help the millions of Americans who are behind on their rent. Now, with the Delta variant and still out there, the end is still out of sight. Who knows when this is going to end? That factor makes this whole topic a public health matter, and that's exactly what the bill is saying. On top of that, the measure that the eviction moratorium would remain in effect at least 60 days after it ends is a good measure that will give enough time for people to get back on their feet while not necessarily worrying about losing where they're living. A date for bringing this up to the House floor has not yet been announced, so this is really just kind of in the first stages. This is really looking promising for renters, and I'm pretty sure the renters out there would be pretty happy to hear this. Now, the previous eviction moratoriums have helped millions get by after all, but what do you guys think about this one? Would it be a good move to push this one forward? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Last but not least, here's your update on the debt limit and the possible government shutdown, which are the two problems that Congress has been worrying about for the past several days. The House has finally passed a bill that will suspend the debt limit and prevent a government shutdown. Finally, there's some solid action on this, right? Now, this is actually a much bigger problem than you might think, votes, so it's good to see the progress here. But let's get into the details. It says here the House on Tuesday just passed legislation that would prevent a government shutdown and suspend the debt limit ahead of looming deadlines with only days to spare, although the measure is set to run into a GOP wall in the Senate. The bill passed on a party line vote of 220 to 211. Now, this issue has been a huge topic of discussion lately, and rightfully so. The Treasury Department has been consistently giving out warnings for the past month to Congress. They must take action on this as soon as possible. Finally, we have a bill passed regarding this, and frankly, it's better now than never. It now heads to the Senate, where at least 10 Republicans would need to join all the Democrats for passage. Nearly every single Republican senator has said that they will oppose a debt limit suspension, arguing that Democrats should instead act on their own through the budget reconciliation process that can actually circumvent a filibuster and is being used for the $3.5 trillion social spending package. Now, the attitude of the Republicans regarding this issue has been pretty interesting to follow this whole saga. So they're standing firm that they're saying that the Democrats should pass this on their own through the reconciliation bill. This issue has been typically a bipartisan affair, and they themselves have actually voted on the debt limit in the past. So it's been a bit surprising to kind of see the Republicans have been so, especially on something that they have already supported before. But the Democrats are nonetheless attaching the debt limit suspension through December 16, 2022 to a must-pass bill to avoid a government shutdown on October 1st in an attempt to pressure Republicans to drop their threats. It says here the debt limit was reinstated on August 1st, and Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said if Congress doesn't raise or suspend the ceiling, the federal government will be unable to pay its bills sometime in October. Now, the consequences of not taking action on this debt ceiling are dire and they're damaging. Once the government becomes unable to pay its bills, we would see hundreds of government programs collapse. Now, if that happens, just imagine how many Americans rely on assistance and government funding would be affected. It's not a small number at all. And as I've already stated, this issue has typically been a bipartisan affair. It isn't a Democrat or Republican debt. It's the country's debt that we're dealing with here. And a lawmaker should essentially understand that. Now really is not the time to be playing games and going around in circles. The great news is here though, and there's finally a passed bill that will address this issue. This does feel like a temporary solution, and I'm sure that Congress will be cooking up something new and more permanent that would fix this situation soon. But what do you guys think about this though? The whole debt limit saga indeed has been interesting to follow, and it's a problem that affects everybody in the country. What could be happening next? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. So anyway, guys, that's all for the news on your fourth stimulus check update, recurring stimulus check update. Nancy Pelosi telling her fellow Democrats to prepare for adjustments to the $3.5 trillion stimulus bill, a newly introduced bill aiming to push for a new eviction moratorium, and the House finally passing a bill that will suspend the debt limit and prevent a government shutdown. But what do you guys think about this? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I really hope that you guys appreciate everything we covered today. If you haven't already, do like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. That way you're notified as soon as I release new videos and content. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care and be safe.